just milk. Dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane. Fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire. Put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the metazone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire. Ooh, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 29 of the Planet B podcast. And today is definitely one of the most fascinating chapters of the book, The Money Game Transformation. Dr. Rao, thank you so much for joining us. And wow, this is going to be quite a topic.
Right. So usually the most interesting topic for people too, because it's very hard for us to think of a different money game than what we've been playing because of the two loops theory of change. I think it's absolutely inevitable that this needs to change. The money game needs to change.
And I love how you call it a money game, because in the end, that's all it is. But if you don't mind, could you start with the opening quote by Deborah Fries?
Yeah, Deborah Fries said, "You cannot fundamentally change big systems. You can only abandon them and start over."
So true.
She's one of the founders of the Berkana Institute. It's their two-loop theory of change that I use.
Why do you call it the money game?
Because as human beings, we tell stories and we play games. This is how we coordinate our actions and among millions and even billions of us. We tell common stories that everyone has bought into those stories, and then we play common games. And that allows us to be this powerful species that can literally change the life support systems of a planet. Right? Because without telling these stories and playing these games, if you look at all the other species, they don't have groups of more than 100, 200, or maybe even
Mm-hmm.
1,000. But beyond that, they don't coordinate very well. Okay, we can coordinate among 8 billion of us
Right.
because every one of us believes in the money game. It's that common game that everyone plays, right? And the
Yeah.
money game, we are taught, if you want money, you have to go and extract from the planet and give it to someone who has money, who will give you something for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fundamental extractive money game that we play.
Right. And it's interesting because you say it is really the one game that all of us are, I don't know if the right word is forced to play, but it is one of the major components of the Planet A system.
It's the one game that allows you to tap into the resources of hundreds of our fellow humans, thousands of our fellow humans, you know,
Mm.
because without it, if you go talk to someone in an indigenous community that doesn't use the money game, is not yet playing the money game, they are small communities and
Right.
they help each other, in that community. But suppose you want to create a smartphone. A smartphone is assembled by thousands of people,
Right.
okay? And thousands of people designed it. So it's like you're really tapping into the knowledge of maybe millions of human beings in that
Mm.
smartphone. Okay. And how do you then tap into that effectively? So you need to play some kind of game that allows you that benefit of the knowledge of your fellow humans and their productivity all put together to give you this useful tool. That money game is the one that allows us to coordinate at such levels. You can play the game in different ways. You can create different rules and play the game. But we have a game that we inherited. And so we were born into this game. We didn't even know we were born into this game.
Yeah.
And then we were taught how to play the game and we started playing it. It's now, once you understand the money game, understand how the rules of the money game, and you realize it's actually the one that's driving the climate heating phase of our civilization, then we can say, okay, how do you architect the money game that will allow you to be in the climate healing phase for civilization,
Right.
right? It's not the same game. It's a different game.
If we could talk a little bit about that, the Planet A climate heating phase of this money game. And in this chapter, you highlight the fundamental roles within the money game on Planet A are the buyer, the seller, and the banker. Could you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. So Alice wants to buy a piece of property from Charles, the seller. And then Alice goes to Bob, the banker, and asks for a loan to buy the property because she doesn't have enough money to buy the property. Okay. So according to the rules of the money game play today, Bob is allowed to give Alice a loan if he knows that Alice can return that money, number two, and he has at least 10% of the loan in his bank.
Mm,
So he can actually create like a factor of 10 multiplication.
right.
Okay. Or in effect, what happens is he's giving the money to Alice to go and buy, and he's only keeping like a small percentage of the money in the bank. So that if there's a run on the bank and everybody comes and wants the money back, he doesn't have enough. He's given it away. Right? So, but then the government supports him, saying if there's a run in the bank and you are FDIC insured, we will insure every depositor to the tune of $100,000 or something like that.
Mm,
So people don't make a run on the money because they know that the government is guaranteeing them $100,000. Okay.
right.
So those are mechanisms that we put in place to make this thing stable. So now Alice has the money, so she goes and gives it to Charles, and she gets ownership of the property, but in reality, she doesn't own it.
Mm,
The banker owns it. Okay. The banker owns it because he is asked that property to be collateral for him to give the loan. So
right.
if Alice cannot return the loan, he gets the property. Now, what did the banker do? He was just an intermediary,
Yeah, just the middleman.
just a middleman. But he owns that property now, literally, right?
It, it's true, yeah.
So this is why I say the bank literally owns the planet at any given point in time. So if you think of all these bankers, literally it's just one bank, right? A few large banks. And if you follow their shareholders, you'll discover that it's really one bank.
Right.
Large corporations have the same financial holding companies as major shareholders. It's literally just one bank. So it's a system that's created this mechanism of fractional reserve currency system has created such that a few people literally own the planet. Because at any given point in time, there are more loans than there is money in the system. So which means that a lot of people are in debt, which means they have put some of their assets as collateral for the debt.
Right. Yeah.
So if they cannot return the debt, that asset goes to whoever gave them the loan. It
Back to the
typically is a bank,
middleman.
back to the middleman. So that's the game. And so now let's say Alice cannot return the money. Okay. She has hard time. She got hit by a car, and everybody is feeling sorry for her. She cannot return the loan. The government goes and says, Alice, I don't care. You have to give your property to the banker. So the government is always on the side of the banker, not on the side of Alice,
Right.
not on the side of the borrower. That side always wins in a dispute as opposed to the borrower. Because we have set up government as a system to enforce these contracts.
Hmm.
That's the purpose of government. So everything is sort of rigged against the borrower. And it's always in favor of the banker.
Could you share a little bit more about how this the money game is the root of all of the problems within the Planet A system?
Well, because the money game is built around debt and loans, there's a fundamental impetus to grow the economy. Okay? Because if you don't grow the economy, then there's competition for finite resources, the finite amount of money that's going around. And a lot of people are going to be default on their loans and, and economic activity doesn't flow anymore because people are going bankrupt. Banker doesn't know what to do with all this stuff. If say no one, is able to return the loans and they all say, okay, you own it. He doesn't know what to do with it, right?
Right.
He can't extract value out of it. He needs millions of people going out there and extracting value and returning the money to him. So he then basically created this money out of thin air and he got it back,
So bizarre.
right? So I'm sure, if you trace the owners of these banks, there are, multi-trillionaires sitting there who don't tell you that they're multi-trillionaires because they got all of that went back to them.
Right. And by always having this feeling of needing to pay something back because essentially we don't own it, whether it's a car or a house or even, sometimes our children's school, then it puts a lot of fear in our daily lives and also creates a lot of exhaustion because people work harder, think more about work, don't pursue the things that they truly love or want to do.
Right. That's known as debt slavery.
Hmm.
So when you have debt and you feel obliged that you have to pay it back, you are literally enslaved by that debt.
Right.
You could say, I'm not paying. Then they'll come after you, right?
Right. Yeah.
They'll come after you and eventually they'll force you to pay. They'll take away your assets, your collateral that you gave for that.
Mm. And also they create a competition between our brothers and sisters of humanity.
Absolutely, yeah. Because you have to return the loan. So you have a debt, you have to return the loan. And so you're competing with others who are also trying to extract now to return their loans,
Right.
right? And so you're competing with each other to return the loans. So it fundamentally is a competitive money game. And so for a climate healing phase of our civilization, we have to create a money game that's all about collaboration, not about
Mm,
competition. The architecture has to be the exact opposite of the currency architecture that we have in the Planet A money game.
right. You state in chapter 29 that we must change our money game to a new game based on love, generosity, and natural abundance. The
Correct.
architecture and rules of this new game would incorporate characteristics that are the exact opposite of those used in the current money game. So, Dr. Rao, could you give us a little sneak peek into the money game of Planet B?
Think of the money game today, understand the architecture of the money game today, and do the exact opposite. I'm sorry, I'm serious. That's how I
I
did it.
believe you. Yeah. I
That's
just think of the world turned upside down when you say it's just
right.
the opposite.
Right. So in the current money game, all new currency is created in the form of loans.
Hmm,
Okay, so everything that is a debt that you have to return. In the money game encoding generosity, all new currency has to come in the form of allowances. Allowances don't have to be returned.
right,
Okay. In the current money game, the debt has to be returned to a banker or someone who loans, someone who has the authority to create currency, which is usually a bank, nothing else, right? They can create currency.
right.
And in the new money game, the allowances are through the generosity of Mother Earth.
Hmm,
As long as Mother Earth is thriving, you get an allowance. Okay. The more she's thriving, the bigger the allowance you get. So it gives you an incentive to make Earth flourish. So we are creating a game in which the Earth has to flourish for us to get more of it, bigger allowances. So we'll work to make the Earth flourish. So that will become our motivating force, the objective function. So you have to code the Planet B money game to accomplish the Planet B objectives. So that's why it has to be an allowance. Allowance is coming from nature and not debt from a human being. Okay.
right,
So that's the other opposite. And then in the current money game, the object of the game is to accumulate as much as you can for yourself. That's your source of security,
right.
right? And in the new money game, for the Aquarius, I call it Aquarius money game,
Hmm,
uh, for the new currency system, the object of the game is to deploy your resources in the best way possible that you think it's going to work. Why? Because money slowly decays over time.
right.
You can't hang on to it. It
Yeah,
automatically decays over time. Okay. And so that's the software we need to build, okay, that it decays over time. We have to then figure out, okay, we have to tweak the decaying factor and things like that to make sure that that's similar to what the Fed does, adjusting
right.
the interest rates. You know, you have to
That's
have
what I
a
was thinking. Yeah.
you have to have a council of wise elders who
Hmm.
decide the decay rate. And the
Not
goal is
politicians.
no, it has to be wise elders. I think it has to be independent of politics. Yeah. Just
Right.
like today, I think really this Fed has to be independent of the government for it to work properly. If
Hmm.
the politicians interfere in the Fed, this entire system on planet A will collapse very quickly,
Yeah.
which they're beginning to do now. So
Would each of us have resources to deploy to our community? Like right now,
right,
the financial system is based on country and international. Would you see
right.
Aquarius being more locally based in your community?
Yeah, all money in Aquarius system, all money flows through individuals. There is
Hmm.
no other money created because you are the source of work, resources. You are the one who is
Right.
saying, what am I going to do with this? Right? And how am I going to deploy it? This is why you have the responsibility for how it gets deployed. Now, I'm suggesting that when you go and join a community, that community will say, okay, if you want to join our community, you have to give us 10% or 20% of the flow that's coming to you. So that's coded in the community's rules. And then basically some of your money that comes to you goes to the community's coffers and they can deploy it
Right.
for common purposes. Okay. And then you get to deploy your money to, you say, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, whatever you want to do. You have to deploy it and use it. If you don't use it, fine. You don't have to use it. If you don't use it, it decays automatically, right? And so if someone wants to hold money in the new system, they become actually very good for the system. Because what are they doing? Allowance is a footprint allowance.
Right.
So it basically says you can use this much of the Earth's resources for yourself, or whatever you want to do, right? Now, if you hold it, or if you get it from others and you hold it, and you let it decay, you're basically not using footprint on Earth.
Right.
So the Earth will flourish more.
Right.
Because humans'
Right.
footprint decreased, right? Human footprint decreased overall.
All right. It's just interesting, Dr. Rao, because if we were to join a local community and then part of that community agreement was to provide 10% to them, then effectively that would kind of incentivize us to want to participate in decisions and interaction with that community. Not like the current, tax structure where we give 30% of our, income tax to the government, and we don't see a direct reflection of what we're
Right.
putting into it.
Right. So it goes directly to your community. So the only tax you pay is to your community. Okay. So the architecture is very recursive. It's the same thing that happens in every level. Okay.
All
The
right.
community belongs to a watershed, which is local to that community. And the watershed belongs to an ecosystem. And then the ecosystem belongs to the planet. So there's the watershed council. There's an ecosystem council. And then there's a planetary council. Right? So the resources flow from the individual to the community. And then from the community to the watershed it belongs to. So the community only pays taxes to the watershed that it belongs to. No one else. The watershed council pays taxes to the ecosystem that they belong to. So there is responsibility and there is accountability built into that flow structure. So the current architecture, somebody gets a loan, okay, and they go start a business or something, and you go and work for them, and then you tap into that, you get a salary, and then you pay taxes, and it goes off somewhere, and they use all the money for whatever, for the common purposes. But to get accountability, you have to go vote for someone once every 2 years, vote for someone once every 4 years. Then you have to write to that person, and that person listens to those who have the most money, not to you.
Right.
So you become completely useless. I mean, there is a survey done showing that responsiveness of the government to individual needs is next to nothing, is zero. Ever since the Sunshine Law was passed in 1971, which basically said that all votes of congressmen and senators has to be made public. Okay? When you vote, you want it to be secret. It's a secret ballot.
Right.
Why is it a secret ballot? Because otherwise you get influenced. So the principle of the secret ballot is that if it is not secret, if anyone can say, hey, you voted this way, did I not tell you to vote the other way?
Right.
You get coercion. Right? I mean, if someone will come and buy your vote saying, I'll give you $100 and you better vote this way. And if you don't vote this way, he'll say, give me the $100 back.
Yeah.
Right? So this is why votes have to be secret for you to be independent in voting. And that's how you should make decisions. So congressmen and senators cannot vote anymore like that. It's because of the Sunshine Law.
All right.
Because it's public domain. Everybody knows how you voted. And so the donor who gave you money is going to come and say, wait a minute, I told you to vote this way, and you didn't.
Yeah.
So they lost their independence in 1971. And you clearly see in the survey, since 1971, the responsiveness of Congress to people went down, and
Wow.
the responsiveness to big donors went up.
Yeah. It's interesting too because there's a graph that shows how many animals people consume, and actually at that 1970 mark is when you really see it start to rise. So you can see that animal agriculture definitely had an impact at that time to influence politicians.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that acceleration is part of the last hurrah of heating that we had to do on the planet. And to build all this new technology we needed so that we can take pictures like this from space, right?
Yeah.
And and now we know we have to stabilize the life support systems of this beautiful planet. And
Mm,
so now we have everything we need to redesign systems, and create these new structures that allow us to do what we need to do. That's the reason why the architecture is like that. It makes you responsive and accountable locally. Okay. And then it builds up hierarchically. We need some hierarchy, right? You can't have everybody making decisions for the whole planet. 8
right.
billion people voting on something and reaching a consensus is going to be impossible.
So something that I think is really fascinating in chapter 29 as well is that you state that healthy food, shelter, clothing, and the basic needs of humanity will be met for free
Right.
with the new financial system, which allows us to dedicate ourselves to the task of restoring the ecosystems of the planet.
Yeah. That's the contract you have with the community you join. The community is taking a certain percentage of your allowance. And in return, they're going to guarantee to you that you'll have adequate shelter, balanced meals at any given time. Because I found that when you split the production of meals to at an individual level, you are basically you're atomizing human beings, and you're making it more and more expensive
Mm,
and then more and more wasteful. Whereas when you cook in a community, when you cook together, I mean, you can reduce the costs tremendously. You don't need that much packaging anymore for food. Because I get food every day delivered to me when I'm working here, and I cringe at how much packaging I'm getting.
right.
Yeah.
Dr. Rao, do you think that when we shifted to this the local community-based financial system and Planet B system, ideally we would be growing a lot of our food locally,
Right.
cooking together, closer communities? It would really reduce the amount of resources that we would need or use.
Right. Right. Absolutely. You'll be moving away from monocultures. When you do large monocultures like that, that's when you need pesticides and, because nature doesn't like monocultures. And nature will find
Right.
a way to turn that into a polyculture. So you have to keep fighting nature to do that. And that's what these chemicals do.
Hmm. And then you also talk about the labor would be based on volunteerism on Planet B.
Correct. Yeah. Because you cannot coerce anyone to do anything because you're getting
Right.
allowances, right? Cannot coerce anyone. It has to be that when you're healthy, you want to deploy you want to sing your song.
Hmm.
Okay? You want to dance your dance. And so you will find the place where you can contribute.
All
Yeah.
right.
And if you don't find a place, if you're lethargic and you don't, then you're not healthy. So I'm suggesting that there will be people who will say, hey, is something wrong? Is there something I can do to help you? When you're not volunteering, you're not doing much, right?
All right.
So, and bringing everybody back to health. For some people, it'll be that's the service you do. Right?
Yeah. And I think something really interesting too is that, so I'll just pose this as a question. So things like crime, theft, violence, these things, do you think that they will exist in the Planet B system? Do you think they'll be significantly reduced?
I expect it to be significantly reduced, but nothing will go to zero, right? So you
Right.
have to figure out how to deal with those. And there are lots of social scientists who are working on that aspect of it. I remember there's a Native American tribe who would say that if someone did something wrong, everyone will come and tell him how, point out all his good qualities,
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah,
remind
that's
him
wonderful.
that there is something, something more divine about him than what he did.
All
So
right.
that's how they deal with deviant behavior.
Yeah, so it's essentially it would be, true therapy. Like if someone did something kind of counter to providing cooperation and love, then
Mm.
we would want to go and just help them, not to put them in isolation or something like that. We'd want to
Correct.
help them to come back to the community as fast as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are pathologies that we have to deal with. I don't
All
know.
right.
So I'm just
Yeah.
saying we need to organize around love. Beyond that, we have to figure out all the details.
Something you mentioned as well is Planet B would be a gift economy.
Mhm. Right. It's not a transaction economy, what I'm saying. It's not that,
Uh,
yeah, how much can I get out of you for this? Which is what we have today, right? Whatever the market can bear. So we have created a system of transaction, and it's quite ruthless. It ruthlessly exploits, it ruthlessly minimizes costs through exploitation. So you cannot do that when it's volunteerism. You cannot exploit anyone. So then it's a matter of, the currency is used to monitor how much of the Earth's resources have we used. So the allowances are dependent upon how well the Earth is doing. Let's say, 50% of the Earth's capacity is what we can use on an annual basis, because the other 50% has to be left for wild animals to
right.
use. And so if that's 50% is what you can use, any product that you get is valued in how much of the Earth's resources you used for making that product. And then when you take ownership of that product, that footprint gets retired completely. So basically, I'm saying this currency mechanism should be used as a way to monitor our overall footprint of our consumption and make sure that it stays within bounds.
All right.
Okay. This is why it's important to have a forgetting factor. Because if you hoard and then everybody goes and does it at one time, the earth cannot support it. Right? This is
Right.
why even now I say that if everybody takes all the money that they have stored in the bank and then no one returns the loans, if you forgive all the loans and everybody goes and deploys it and splurges, the earth will literally die out because there's so much you have stored and there is no control over that. This is why, we have to create this mechanism where it is much more benign.
Another thing you mentioned is cooperative work, which we talked about a little bit with community concept, but you mentioned cooperative work would be done through crowdsourcing.
Right. Yeah. So let's say you have a great idea. You need some resources to make that happen. So you would then say, advertise for that and say, look, this is what I want to do, but I need this much resources. And if
Hmm.
it's a good idea, people want to fund you, they'll fund you. Because everybody is getting an allowance and a constant tick. So you have
Right.
this sense of abundance because every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, every 50 minutes, whatever, you get another coin in your account.
So just to understand this better, like if everyone was receiving funds, throughout the day, then in this crowdsourcing concept, some people may provide cooperation in the form of some of their coins, their Aquarius. Some of them may provide funds in the form of helping with labor
Right.
or ideas, blueprints. It provides such a wide array of options to help.
Correct. Yeah. That's the whole concept. And I mean, the coins represent the real footprint on Earth.
Mm. Dr. Rao, at the end of chapter 29, you state that this new monetary game ensures that the ecological footprint of humanity never exceeds the limit for ecological thrivability on planet B. Could you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, the reason is that the coins, the currency itself represents the biocapacity of the planet. So,
Right,
meaning if nature is flourishing, your allowance increases. If nature is not flourishing, your allowance decreases. And so it guarantees that you don't go over the ecological capacity of the planet.
right,
Okay. So that gives you an incentive, gives humanity an incentive to increase the capacity of the planet, which means you have to increase the thriving of the planet. So that's when you'll get more. Okay. I mean, I think that by the time we are on that upward swing and the planet is thriving, we won't need to use all the coins.
right.
We will stay well within the bounds of the capacity of the planet.
Yeah. That's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
So, Dr. Rao, as we close up episode 29, the money game transformation, is there any closing words you'd like to share with our audience today?
Now, again, think about how exciting this is. Money has always represented the old model. Imagine turning this money architecture around so that it becomes something that aids us in restoring the planet. So I think it's an exciting design and it's an exciting way of looking at things. And I'm looking forward to trying it out and implementing it and trying it out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Thank you so much to our audience for joining us today. And our next episode is how you can help. So we look forward to everyone joining us once again, hopefully for our next episode. Thank you.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where we use less force and more choice. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Hello, Sai.
I know, Kiran. So, uh, actually, money has many dimensions to it, right? In the current system. So, like two things come to my mind. Like one is like people, the society attaches your self-worth to money. No matter how great your ideas are, no matter how, if I have to take your example, for example, what all you say, if if a rich person says the same, exactly the same things, people will give them more value. I mean, I think that's how the people's mindset are. At least that's what I think. So, so there's a lot of self-worth and money is attached to each other. So how can we break this? That's one thing. Another dimension I thought of is like people spend their entire life savings on getting a home, on doing a wedding, as you know, in India. So if we snatch that away from them, then there's going to be chaos. So how can we deal with that? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, planet B is beautiful and planet A is awful. How do we get from A to B? We are so we need to get from A to B. I'm only asking how to get from A to B.
Yeah. The transition process is an interesting one. How do you do this transition? This is why I'm suggesting that we need to do minimum viable experiments and try these things out. It's in small communities and then larger communities. We need to try these things out. And I think in the process, we are going to iron out a lot of these details of how we do this. Right? It's not going to be possible for us to think up all the possible ways in which it can be, all the possible problems you may face, and
Of course.
figure out solutions to that beforehand. You're going to do this as we go along. And but so long as the intent is there, the intent is to restore the planet. Okay, if the intent is to restore the life support systems of the planet, I think we will succeed. We'll figure it out. Okay, we are smart enough to figure it out. Someone or the other will come up with an idea for how to make that happen. So I don't worry too much about the minute details about things. I just say, okay, this is where we need to go. And I look for, broad brush feasibility considerations. So this is why I did the goal validity test in the paper. So this way you can, any goal you propose, you can go check, is it valid or not? But this way, if it's a valid goal, it's just a matter of will to make it happen. Right? See, if our goal is to get to a vegan world, I can even say vegan world 2026, is that a valid goal? And I went and checked against my goal validity test, and it's valid. It's feasible, it's coherent, it's ethically valid, it's measurable. Right? So once you establish validity, then you can say, okay, now it's a matter of how do we do this? And and there are going to be actors, who in the current system who are going to try and fight it. Okay.
Many.
But you need equally powerful people who will protect it and say, we want this to happen. Okay.
And that power to
ecosystem-
people comes from money right now in the current
Right.
system. Power is
Right.
equal to money. Self-worth is equal to money. Everything is equal to money, I think, right now in the current system.
Right.
Right.
So
That's what I'm talking about.
And money comes from a banker. So the banker is assigning your self-worth, right? And it's the exact opposite of the way it should be. So on planet B, your self-worth is already within you. You don't need any external validation for that. You're already born with it, right? So it's nature that's validating everything for you. You're a creature of God, right?
I think there needs to be a lot of education and
Exactly.
about for this, especially for money. I think there needs to be a lot of education and counseling and many things which needs to be done to people
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
little lives.
Definitely. Definitely. Becca?
Hello, Dr. Rao and everyone. Michael has a question, and that is connecting the subject of war potential and game theory in a Planet B model. The way I'm picturing it, unless every country collectively decides to become and stay a pacifist nation, each volunteering to send all their military equipment, bombs, and everything into outer space so that no one nation has weapons in store, it would take just one nation to go rogue at some point in time to suddenly hold rule over the world. How can that potential be prevented?
Correct. I mean, not in planet B. So nation boundaries are all on planet A. Planet A is divided into artificial lines, drawn on map, and say you are this, you are that, and then throwing people out if they don't belong, and things like that, right? But planet B is all around ecological boundaries. So if you are already on planet B, then how can some ecosystem council is going to say, we're going to go fight the other guys? I mean, what are they doing? Doesn't make any sense, no? Because your purpose is different, right? So it's fundamentally a non-violent organization, because we are all engaged in some non-violent activity, the activities of restoring the planet, of cleaning up the mess that we have made. Why? Because we need a planet to live on. So we all have to agree that we need a planet to live on, and we have to clean up the mess that we have made. So when we are engaged in that activity, it's a fundamentally non-violent activity. So this is why you are going to get, you have to design for world peace and planetary health simultaneously. Right? So there is no nation, there is no nation divided by colonial lines. Some fellow drew on a map like hundreds of years ago.
And then renamed later. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. and who
Okay,
are
so
storing weapons for their use to protect their stuff from others.
well,
It's not about that. Yeah.
I'm going to follow up on that. It looks like then we need to work in the small groups like the Sadhana Forest and connect those, and yet it's still possible that somebody can come over and say, look, they don't have any weapons, we can have them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why it has to kind of happen all over. Is that right at the same time?
You have to have the support of the local Planet A people, who are going to
Okay.
support you from being swallowed up by Planet A. So you need the protectors on Planet A.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have a story of, someone said he's going to come and turn it all into development, because it's such a beautiful forest now. And Aviram said, even if I die, I'm going to come back and haunt you, make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Joji?
Yeah, so it occurred to me that, the kind of communities you describe, or um, you mentioned some communities that are testing these ideas out yesterday, right? 2 or 3. But it occurred to me today that there are a lot of such communities around us. Only thing is, they are called monasteries or ashrams, right?
Yeah.
They, their people generally don't take more than what they need and try to give as much as they can through volunteerism. And the money game is played very differently. I know some setups in which um, nobody owns any personal money. There is the money for the monastery, and then according to what everybody needs from time to time. So there is no distribution of governing, or I forget no centralized government as such. There is some head of the abbey or the monastery who approves the distribution of the money according to, somebody wants to go home or something like that, and say, okay,
Right.
you're allowed to do this, and here is some money to do that. Of course, they are operating with Planet A money, but within that community, within that closed community, things are very much analogous to, what you're describing through the earth codes and the money games and all those
Right.
things. So
Right.
it occurs to me that maybe you're, um, directing us all to become monastics, monks, the whole planet.
Now, directing us all to have that overall objective of restoring the planet and being part of the Earth community. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we need to.
So one problem. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, I said we need to train our, educate our children to be that, supposed to workers for the industrial system, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One problem I wanted to mention, and that's the big hurdle, is that all these ashrams or monasteries, I know the Christian ones, they will not let go of their beef. The Hindu ones, they won't let go of their dairy. So
Yeah. So that's the connection to Planet A.
that's their connection to Planet A. And the trouble with that is each of these communities believe their goals come directly from God. They're doing God's work. So they're not going to take anybody's challenging, their institution or their codes or the rules they live by or the
Right.
diet they practice. But, most of the other stuff is already there. They are there for service. They don't
Right.
keep anything for themselves. They have, retirement units and things like that where people are taken care of all their life. So they don't need any money by themselves and all that. So just thought I will put it out there.
Yeah. I can imagine if the larger society around them decides that they're not going to be impregnating cows anymore, and and bringing new animals into the world, the price is going to go through the roof, and then they cannot afford it, even if they want to eat it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's ultimately, look, Planet A is about turning the biodiversity of the planet into monocultures that make money for people. And that is unsustainable. It's going to die. So it's going to pull all of us down with it. So we have to now restore the biodiversity of the planet. And so that flip has to happen. Sometime or the other, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the planet will just take us down.
Right. So as it's taking us down, we're going to try, Someone is going to say, like I'm saying, hey, there's a way out. Let's try this, right? So at some point, people are going to try it. And when we try it, then the prices are going to go up. And the same thing that I'm saying to you now is going to happen, right? Eventually, even for those who are eating it for religious purposes, are going to discover that it's going to be more and more expensive for them to eat it for religious purposes. And then they have to go and question their own religion. What is this? Go look at your own scriptures and come to terms with that, because it's been interpreted this way. Right? So when I talk to Hindu communities, I tell them, look, we know that anything in excess is poison. We know that. Amrit becomes Visha, if we keep doing more of it. So the question is not, is it going to become poison? It's when does it become poison? Are you already overdoing it? Right? And I claim that you are. And in fact, you need to be dialing it down close to zero now, whatever you're doing, right? So the dairy consumption has to be dialed down close to zero, because dairy has become more and more contaminated over time. There's a lot more poison in the environment. And so what Ayurveda was prescribing was in spoons, literally small amounts. And now we said if in small amount of something is good, lots of it must be much better. That's not a valid way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
Right? So it's everyone will come along eventually, because it's inevitable.
Hopefully before a big cataclysm hits and they realize, all the God-given truths have to be revisited, right?
Correct.
Typically, humans operate that way. They're on an emergency. Even the Bhagavad Gita, I think you will mention it in the next chapter or something, right? Sadhguru said once, the preaching happened on a battlefield, because that's when humans will listen, when you're at the point of death, that's when you will listen.
Right.
That's a challenge. Thanks.
Thank you. Sai or Brahm? Sai is first. Okay.
Okay. No, I think you can answer his question.
It's all right. Then complete yours and then you.
Okay. So to the one question is like income inequality. Like I just recall that 50% of the wealth in America is held by a few percent of the people, right? So that's what I think that actually, to put in your words, like that is like the cow in the room in the context of money game. That's the cow in the room which we need to address. So how do we address that? That's one question, to put it brief. Maybe you can.
That's it. See that the new money system that I'm proposing, the money game, automatically addresses that. Meaning,
No, the transition from this wealth inequality to the equal distribution.
Look, the people who are hoarding all this wealth, who have this tremendous wealth inequality, the ones on the other side are building bunkers, and they are basically trying to isolate themselves from the rest of the people. So they're scared. And what we are offering them is a way out. It's saying, come along. You don't have to be scared about anybody. It's a different system. And so whatever you accumulate, you're really good at something. Fine, let's use your gift to do something else here. Right? So eventually, like I remember, I was in Ghana and I was visiting this really rich man in the community, and he was frightened of his neighbors. And the same here, right? People are frightened of their neighbors because they have supported so much. And the neighbors weren't really thinking about the rich people. Of course, they wish, hey, you have food, why don't you give me some, because they're hungry. But most of the time, they weren't even thinking about those people. Anyways, it's all this compartmentalization that we do within ourselves, and we live in our own world, right? Imagining things that are happening. In reality, it's not that way at all.
Okay.
Another question about I think if I had put it in one word, taxation. Like, don't you think it's a simple solution rather than changing the entire money game? Like this, I got this like in your conversation with Joji. You were mentioning that the price of dairy and animal products will go up so high that will become
Yeah.
expensive. So why don't we make the basically in the planet B, why make the bad things expensive and the good things very cheap? Like right now,
Yeah.
there's a lot of subsidies going into the animal agriculture. So just
Yeah.
flip it over. Like you say, like we have to flip everything over in planet B, right? Make it
See,
upside down.
fundamentally, the architecture of the money system on planet A is about extraction. Fundamentally, it's about extraction. I don't care how you tax or whatever, do whatever you do. It's focused on extraction. We need to create a money game. It's all about restoration. Okay, the incentive is to extract and return the debt. Extract and return the debt. Okay, that's what the architecture is. So from a systems perspective, I claim that it's impossible to tweak the planet A money game into a sustainable money game. It's impossible. Okay.
The debt thing reminds me of like actually I saw this like 10 years back also, like US owes a lot of money to China, China owes a lot of money to US, and there's a there's a big web of debt and it's all running on that. So I think there's a big web of debt, I think, like huge.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all
yeah.
circular, like the debt is all circular. Like everyone knows each other. I don't know how. I can't even imagine how did they create this system? And they're just saying
Right,
that they
right.
keep on increasing the debt ceiling every year. By the way,
Correct,
and
correct, correct.
and they just want to continue the same system so that they keep on
Right.
increasing the debt ceiling every couple of years.
Yeah.
Then they say,
Basically, they're
okay.
saying, let's grow, grow, grow on the backs of the future. Okay. No
Okay.
one is interested in returning the debt. But the promise they're making to you is they're in the process of returning the debt. This is
They're
why
not
you're
even able to
buying.
pay the interest on the debt,
Right. Which means it's
which is
going to
in billions of
collapse.
dollars.
It's going to be, which is when it collapses, when it cannot pay the interest. Right. You're running a Bernie Madoff type scheme.
Sorry, what scheme?
Bernie Madoff he did a Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a Ponzi scheme you're running. So I cannot tweak a Ponzi scheme into something that's sustainable. Impossible.
No, okay.
All right.
So you have to start with a blank slate.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Barb.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, I have to say that I'm having some trouble.
You muted yourself.
That was me accidentally. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I'm having some trouble imagining all of this and what it means for the individual, because I think I saw at one time a design, and you may have put it up, and it made it look more like people would be living together in one big house, like communal living. Was that?
No.
Because right away, oh, good. I'm glad you're going, because I'm just like, what if somebody snores? And
No.
it's just like, it's just like, I was getting worried about some of that. And then I thought about everybody making the food together. And of course, it's going to be all this whole food and all of this, but it's like, I kind of like some specialty products every once in a while and I always make sure it's in the United States, that it's something local. I don't make people fly across my product across the ocean anymore. I try to keep it
Right.
eco, but it's like, will we still have see, we even have local crafters who are on Etsy right now. And so instead of getting something from a local crafter, it's like you go through Etsy to get her product. And I was looking at her products and I was like, well, I use a credit card. Well, what I know with this system, we're not going to be buying as much because we're going to be wanting to save and wanting to make sure things are eco. But at the same time, I like pretty things and I like some jewelry. And I'm like, it'll have to be eco jewelry. And it's like, do they have backups with credit cards in case we run out of money? I'm, I'm very concerned about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. 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 I assure you, what happens is like, I mean, I've been volunteering at this community kitchen,
Uh-huh.
right? So typically, what happens is at some point you say, "Well, I would love to cook this dish. Yes,
Mhm.
I want that to have to be served to everyone." They say, "Yeah, come along, let's cook it." so,
Mhm.
so you then become part of the cooking team and creates, because if you're really concerned about what you want to eat, you'll become part of the cooking team, and
Ah, oh,
and
I
you will
see.
then influence what they cook, right?
Oh,
Together
okay.
for everybody. So
So
it's
really for a community, it is everybody eating from a few of these big teams in areas like
correct.
that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Will
And
there
you
be
may discover
snacks?
that, yeah, there'll be snacks too. Don't worry.
Okay.
If there is abundant food, there's plenty of snacks. I've,
Okay, I'll try to
I,
think a little bigger next time.
yeah, I've lived in these, I've stayed in these community settings, and there's plenty of food. And in
Okay.
fact, it's all healthy food, so which means that your stomach says, "I'm done. I'm satiated. I'm fine with this."
Okay.
And
All
you're
right.
constantly doing something else, so you don't even think about food so much anymore.
Yeah, that's true because I know like when I'm at work, I'm I eat and put little things in my mouth or have to drink something almost all the time. And it's just because I'm not like so stimulating, having a great time that I don't even think of food. Instead, it's just like, oh, it's not even 3 o'clock. But I'm hungry. I just want to snack on something. What's in my bag? What's in my bag? Yeah. So
Right,
yeah, it is that we're not motivated a lot of the time.
right.
You're,
You
yeah,
don't have a purpose, yeah. So
yeah,
when you have purpose, you're just you're in the flow, doing
yeah.
things.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
sure. Bram, did you have a question or no?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic because we don't know anything about finances or money. We are very bad at it. But what I got from Barb, that she wants to have diversity also, so you can be a little egocentric and wanting to have chocolate or whatever, which is maybe more expensive now. So there's a diversity still. It's still possible, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you could say, because I imagine there are lots of communities, kitchens around, and you could just choose today, I want to go over there and eat, not eat in my local community.
Mm, Good,
You become a guest in someone else's.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay.
Thank you all very much. And please come back tomorrow for how you can help, chapter 30. And then we did record one for chapter 31 to the 31st. Now I'm also thinking of having like the same, continuing this on February 1st, Sunday, so that we can just recap and figure out what we can do better. and let's just have a party to see what you got out of all this for 31 days.
Yeah, I wonder also is a possibility of having more talks on the history of what is happening, because my question was about is everything we have done, is it in the common good to get to the stage of Planet B?
Right.
Because you have seen that they have changed the glaciation or so that you are in an
Right.
ice age. It seems here in Vermont we are now in ice age, but it's only a short time.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So you want to have continuing questions, continuing discussions.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk about that on Sunday. We want to do something like this every week. But I'm writing the next one, the guidebook, and that will have more details on various aspects of this. But one last question, Sai?
I have one question, or another question. I was thinking about here and there have been communities who have been gone in that direction. I'm thinking about the Quakers, for instance, and there are others like it. My brother-in-law, who tried some of this when he's in India. He was in India when he was still alive in the Kulu Valley. And so forth, that they were doing much more community work than individual work. The Quakers did too. In this country, there's quite a few examples of that. So some of that was in Europe, I think, or in United States, it was a little bit centered around the belief system in a god or something, a religion. And that was a motivating force. It was, so I wonder where the motivation might be coming from, if it is just a variety of people that get together, and whether there would be a need for having, I was thinking about the cities. That might be so difficult in the cities.
Right.
I could see this work much better when there's nature and there's forestry, there's all that, which is much more, feeding our soul. But the city life is just so horrendously, if you think about China, my gosh, what used to be really common territory for people to live together in community, and now it's these huge skyscrapers and flat, and everything has shifted so much. So that's sort of where I think, oh my gosh, how's that going to work there?
Right. Yeah. See, a city is more or less a planet A construct because it's designed to collect people in one place to figure out how to extract from the planet and create complex technology with it or whatever. So every city has a certain purpose. What are the big companies there? And you can pretty much tell what they are congregated around. Like that some cities are around finances, some cities are around technology. So you can see, and it's all about extraction. How do you extract and so it's bringing talent together to figure out how to extract properly. Okay, and Planet B is not focused on extraction. Planet B is focused on restoration. So you have to look at what kind of congregation of people do you need to restore the planet properly. Of course, there's some extraction that we have to do to facilitate the tools we need for the restoration purposes, right? And so I imagine the cities are going to slowly dissolve, and become more and more. We are going to become more and more ruralized instead of being urbanized. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would be interesting.
Makes sense, no? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you. It's all about what are you organizing towards and how do you do that? Thank you all very much. And look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Oh, Sai, you had a question?
No, just wanted to ask the release date for the Planet B handbook.
Oh, March 25th. So this is why I'm
Okay.
working furiously.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you.
The house is burning, but we're still sitting in the glow. Phones charged, lights on, pretending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Metaphorians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air. Every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metaphorians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, ooh, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the meta zone.